it's rather ironic coming so late in the debate, because the point I wanted to make and the argument I would want to win was made and won before the debate started, when your predecessor in the chair counselled members that there were 2 live court cases associated with this subject. And my point is this, that we are then allowing individuals to have to operate in this seeming legal grey space rather than us directing Parliament. And those individuals and organisations are forced to run the legal gauntlet case by case, isolated then and alone, and sometimes at very great cost to their reputation, to their career, to their health. So in common with many colleagues here, I rise to support the petition to clarify, not change, to clarify the Equality Act. And the Honourable Lady who has just spoken actually would seemingly endorse that change when she said that we are currently failing trans people and we are failing women. Change is an imperative, because we must be very clear with trans people what the law can and cannot do. And equally, we must safeguard the rights of women to those same-sex spaces. It would be indefensible that Parliament, seeing the outworkings of this conflation, this confusion, did not act. And I think it's a highly relevant point that the lead petitioner, Maya Forstater, who spent nearly 2 years and over £100,000 just to determine that she was indeed covered by the protected characteristic of belief in the Equality Act. Her case was won. The judgment of the Employment Tribunal in 2021 made clear that the law could only mean that a GRC changes a person's sex for certain legal purposes, and that it could not force other people to change their belief and therefore their perception of that person's sex. And yet still, individuals continue to face complaints and investigations in every corner of the land and in every sector for asserting the protections that they have under the Act. Just last week, a young woman with the pseudonym of Maria told her story to the press of being investigated and driven out of her employment at Oxfam, simply for defending J.K. Rowling, mentioned earlier, against being called transphobic. Closer to home, and as a Sussex MP, I saw with horror how Professor Kathleen Stock was hounded from her post and chased off the university campus simply for saying the truth, that male people and female people are 2 different groups. A woman who remains anonymous under the name Sarah Surviving is suing Brighton's Rape Crisis Centre for discrimination because it refused to provide a women-only peer support group. And I would hope my honourable friend and near neighbour would speak with equal passion in her defence too. When you look at each of these legal cases, a commonality that you see is not only that the women concerned have to put themselves on the line to try to clarify the law, but the judges invariably say how poorly suited the subject matter is for determination by the courts as compared with Parliament. They caveat their judgments by saying they are not pronouncing on broad debates on trans rights and women's rights. The confusion in terms and so in rights and responsibilities is souring the culture of businesses and charities alike as they wrestle with what is required of them. The EHRC has fallen out with itself over this challenge. The debate in society is increasingly toxic.